book, The Wisdom of the Pause. We're going to explore a super simple 5-second tool that can completely change how you handle your day, your decisions, even your relationships. And it all starts with this one very familiar sound. That's it, a notification, a sudden demand for your attention. And before you even realize it, before you've made a conscious choice, your hand is already moving, your mind is hooked, and boom, you've been pulled right out of your own life and into someone else's agenda. This is what the book calls the autopilot life. You know, it's that state where we're not really the ones driving, are we? We're more like passengers, just getting yanked through our days by a constant stream of dings, demands, and old habits. We're definitely busy, no doubt about it, but are we the ones actually choosing the direction? And this autopilot mode, well, it shows up in ways we all recognize. An hour just disappears while you're scrolling through your phone. You snap at someone you love and instantly wish you could take it back. You find yourself halfway through a bag of chips without even tasting them. Or you pull into the office parking lot with zero memory of the drive. Yep, that's the autopilot at work. I'm pretty sure that rings a bell for most of us. But here's the thing, this isn't some personal failing. It's just a feature of being a human in a world that is screaming for our attention 24/7. So the real question is, why? Why is it so incredibly easy to slip into this reactive mode?
Well, the answer is actually wired right into our brains. We're all basically running on some very, very old software. You know, think of it like we've got dial-up internet in a world that runs on fiber optics. So let's meet the part of our brain that's calling the shots.
Say hello to your amygdala. The book has this brilliant description for it, an over-caffeinated security guard. Its only job is to scan for danger and slam the alarm button for a fight-or-flight response. And you know what? It's amazing at its job, if you're about to be chased by a saber-toothed tiger.
And right there, that's the problem. Our security guard, the amygdala, hasn't had a software update in a few thousand years. It literally can't tell the difference between a real, life-threatening tiger and a stressful email from your boss, or a critical comment online, or even just a driver who cuts you off in traffic. To your brain, they all look like threats, and it triggers the exact same panic response.
And that brings us to maybe the most important distinction in this whole conversation. Just look at this. Reacting is instant. It's automatic. It's pure emotion. It's that thoughtless knee-jerk thing that's only focused on making an uncomfortable feeling go away right now. But responding, that's different. Responding is paused and considered. It's intentional, it's thoughtful, and it thinks about the future. A life on autopilot is full of reactions. Our goal is to build a life full of responses.
So, how do we actually make that shift? How do we get from reacting to responding? The answer, thankfully, is beautifully simple. We learn to use the pause. We find that little bit of space that already exists between what happens to us and what we do next. This idea, which is often credited to Viktor Frankl, is really the heart of it all. The stimulus is the stressful email. The automatic reaction is that angry reply you want to fire back. The space, that's that tiny, tiny moment of freedom in between. And right there, in that little gap, that's where all your power is. That's your chance to choose a different path.
So that brings us to our mission. We don't have to create this space out of thin air. It's already there, even if it feels like it's only a millisecond long. Our job is just to notice it and then to stretch it, just long enough to let our more thoughtful, wiser self catch up and step in. Okay, so let's get practical. How do we actually do this? It's time to build our toolkit, and we're going to start with the single most important technique you'll learn today. Think of this as your personal emergency brake for all of life's little and big challenges. This is it, the 5-second pause. Remember that amygdala hijack we talked about, where the emotional part of your brain just takes over? Well, guess what? You can hijack it right back. And your secret weapon is your own breath. A single, conscious breath sends a signal to your entire nervous system that says, hey, it's okay. No tigers here. You can stand down. And the technique is so simple, it's almost silly. First, you notice the urge. You know, that heat rising in your chest, that itch to type or speak. Second, you just stop. Don't do anything. Freeze. Third, breathe in through your nose for a count of 2. And fourth, breathe out through your mouth for a count of 3. That slightly longer exhale, that's the key. That's what tells your body to calm down. So when do you pull this emergency brake? Think about moments like these, right before your fingers start flying across the keyboard on that angry email. Or when your mouse is hovering over the Buy Now button on something you don't need. Or right in the middle of a heated argument when someone says something that just pushes all your buttons. Anytime you feel that hijack starting,
pull the brake.
Now, using the pause as an emergency brake is an absolute game changer. But what if we could actually get ahead of the chaos? What if we could design our days to be less reactive from the get-go? This is where we shift from playing defense to playing offense.
The big idea here is to build intentional speed bumps into your day. These aren't about stopping everything. They're just small, scheduled moments that force you to slow down, check in with yourself, and reset your intention before you go speeding off into the next thing.
And you can put these speed bumps anywhere. Try the before you tap pause. Just before opening your inbox or a social media app, take one breath and ask yourself, why am I doing this? Or the transition pause. Before you walk in the front door after work, just sit in your car for 30 seconds to consciously leave the workday behind. Even an in-between pause while your coffee's brewing can be a really powerful moment to reset.
And this is so important to remember. You will forget to do this a lot. That autopilot is a really strong habit. So the goal isn't to be perfect overnight. The goal is just to practice, even just once today. Every single time you remember to use the pause, you're literally carving a new pathway in your brain and strengthening that muscle of thoughtful response.
And really, that brings us to the end. We've seen how that autopilot life can just pull us along, but we've also found this simple, powerful tool to take back the steering wheel. That little pause, that's where your freedom lives. So the only question left is the one right here. What will you choose to do next?